No one planned for that night to mean anything. Not him, not her. It was supposed to be a blur of city lights, loud laughter, and the kind of decisions you forget the next morning. But some nights have a way of changing everything, quietly slipping under your skin until you can't tell where they end and you begin. Ethan stands in the crowded rooftop bar, music thumping through his veins, pretending to listen to his friends, while his eyes keep drifting toward the corner table where she sits, Ava. There's something about her that doesn't belong here. Everyone else is loud, animated, trying too hard to be seen. She's just still calm in her own world. Her long black dress catches the dim light every time she shifts, and her gaze distant yet alert. Looks like she's watching life play out from behind glass. Their eyes meet once, for half a second. It shouldn't mean anything, but Ethan feels that pull, the kind that doesn't let go easily. He tries to shake it off, returns to the banter, the drinks, the half-hearted jokes, but the image of her won't fade. The night deepens, the crowd thickens, and yet somehow she seems untouched by it all, until she isn't. A guy at the bar leans in too close to her, his hand brushing her arm without permission. She flinches, subtle but clear. Ethan watches, debating whether to step in. It's not his place, but something inside refuses to stay quiet. Before he knows it, he's already walking over, his voice firm but calm, asking the guy to back off. The man scoffs, mutters something under his breath, but eventually leaves. Ava looks up at Ethan, a mix of surprise and relief crossing her face. "You didn't have to do that," she says softly. "I know," he replies, "but I wanted to." There's a pause, not awkward, just quiet. A kind of silence that hums between two people who have no reason to trust each other yet, but somehow do. They talk. Not the usual surface-level chatter, something different, honest, real. She tells him about her work, how she moved to the city a few months ago, still trying to find her place. He shares stories about late nights chasing ideas that never pan out, the feeling of being surrounded by people yet feeling alone. Time slips through unnoticed, the crowd thins, the music fades. It's just them, sitting by the balcony, looking over the glowing city. At some point, he reaches for her hand. She doesn't pull away. There's a warmth there, unfamiliar but comforting. No grand declarations, no plans, no promises, just a connection that feels too strong for two strangers to explain. When she finally says she should go, he hesitates. "Can I see you again?" he asks, not sure why he even said it. Her eyes meet his once more, steady and unreadable. "Maybe," she says, and then she leaves. He watches her disappear into the elevator, not realizing that maybe is about to shape the rest of his life. The next morning hits him like a dream he can't shake. Her voice, her face, that fleeting smile, it's all there, haunting the edges of his thoughts. He searches for her online, checks mutual friends, even returns to the bar a few nights later hoping she might show up again. She doesn't. Weeks pass, then months. Life moves, but something in him doesn't. Every now and then, he catches glimpses, a woman in a crowd who looks like her, a song playing that sounds like that night. Each time it stirs something he thought he'd buried. Then, one day, by pure coincidence or maybe fate, she reappears. It's a conference downtown, a design event his company is sponsoring. He's there to present, barely paying attention to the endless stream of introductions, when a familiar voice behind him makes his chest tighten. Ethan, he turns. There she is, Ava. Her hair is shorter now, her smile softer, but it's undeniably her. Time hasn't dulled that spark. If anything, it's made it sharper. "You," he says, unable to mask his disbelief. "Me," she replies, almost laughing. "It's been, what, a year?" "Something like that," he says, still trying to process it. They talk again, like time never passed. But there's something unspoken this time, a layer of tension beneath the words. He learns she's now working for one of their clients, which means they'll be seeing each other again. That realization lands heavy between them. For the first few weeks, they try to keep it professional. Emails, meetings, brief exchanges that carry too much silence. Every glance across a conference table feels charged. Every accidental touch lingers too long. They both know they retreading a line neither should cross, but pretending it's not there only makes it worse. One evening, after a long client meeting, they end up in the same elevator, alone. The doors close, and the air shifts. He can hear her breathing. She looks at him, and for a moment, all the rules, all the logic, fall apart. "Ethan," she says quietly, like a warning. He doesn't move closer, but he doesn't step back either. "I've tried to stop thinking about you," he says. "I really have." A silence follows, heavy and fragile. "So have I," she admits. The elevator dings, the doors open, neither moves. That night, everything changes. One mistake or what feels like one leads to something neither of them can undo. But it's not just about desire. It's deeper, raw, something that blurs the line between right and wrong, want and need. When morning comes, reality hits hard. They both know they've crossed a line. She avoids his calls. He doesn't blame her. It was supposed to stay in that night, unspoken, unseen. But longing doesn't work like that. It grows, quietly, painfully, until it consumes everything else. He starts noticing things, the way she avoids looking at him in meetings, how her laughter sounds forced when he's near. And yet, sometimes, he catches her staring, that same flicker of emotion she tries to hide. Neither says a word, but both know. Something started that night that neither can end. The days that follow are strange. Every moment feels heavier than it should. Ethan goes to work, tries to bury himself in projects, in endless meetings, in anything that might silence the noise inside his head. But no matter what he does, she's there. Ava, her presence feels like static in the background of everything he does, impossible to ignore, impossible to explain. They don't talk about what happened that night. They can't. There's too much at stake, her job, his reputation, the delicate professional line between them. But silence only makes it worse. Every meeting feels like a test, every glance a reminder. When their hands brush while passing a document, it's electricity. When their eyes meet across the table, the world seems to fade out. One afternoon, after a client presentation, the office empties out. Ethan stays behind, pretending to review notes, but really just waiting for the air to settle. Then he hears her voice. "You're still here." He looks up. Ava stands at the door, holding her bag, her expression unreadable. "Yeah," he says, just wrapping up. A pause lingers. Neither moves. Finally, she steps inside, closing the door softly behind her. "We can't keep doing this," she says. "I know," he replies, his voice quiet but steady. "Then stop looking at me like that," she says, her tone trembling despite her attempt to stay composed. He exhales, almost laughing at the futility of it all. "I can't. I've tried." Something in her expression softens, a mix of frustration and longing. "You don't understand," she says. "It's not just complicated. It's wrong. I know what it is," he says, "but I also know how it feels, and I've never felt anything like this." That breaks her resolve. For a second, her guard drops, and everything they've been avoiding crashes down between them. She steps closer. He doesn't move away. The room feels smaller, the air thick with everything unsaid. When she finally kisses him, it's not gentle. It's desperate, the kind of kiss that comes from trying too hard to forget something that wanted to be forgotten. It doesn't last long, but it's enough. Enough to know they're in trouble. Enough to know they won't be able to stop. The following weeks become a blur of tension and stolen moments. They meet in quiet corners of the office, in parking lots after everyone's gone, in cafes where no one knows their names. It's not love, at least not yet, but it's something dangerous that feels too close to it. Each encounter leaves them more tangled, more trapped. Ava starts pulling away. She cancels plans, avoids his calls, makes excuses. Ethan tries to respect it, but the silence is unbearable. He tells himself it's for the best, that maybe if he lets her go, things will settle. But longing doesn't listen to reason. Then one night, out of nowhere, she shows up at his apartment, rain-soaked, trembling, her eyes wide with emotion. He doesn't ask questions, he just lets her in. "I can't sleep," she says, her voice barely above a whisper. "I keep replaying everything. It's like no matter what I do, I can't turn it off." He looks at her, soaked and fragile, and all the restraint he'd been clinging to collapses. He steps closer, brushing a strand of wet hair from her face. "Then don't," he says. She shakes her head. "You don't understand. This could ruin both of us." "Maybe," he says, "but pretending it doesn't exist will destroy us anyway." That night becomes another line they shouldn't have crossed. Yet it also becomes something else, something deeper. They don't talk about the future or what comes next. They just exist, in that small slice of time, as if nothing outside those walls matters. In the days after, the world feels sharper. Every glance, every sound, every fleeting memory of her has a weight. Ethan finds himself waking up earlier, working longer, just to avoid thinking too much. But the harder he tries to stay composed, the more unhinged he feels. Then, something shifts. Ava starts acting differently, distant, colder, not angry, just gone. Her texts become shorter, her tone at work detached. When he asks if everything's okay, she smiles that empty smile people use when they're trying to hide the truth. He knows something's wrong. One evening he sees her leaving the office earlier than usual, her face pale, her movements rushed. He follows her instinctively, not to invade, but because something in him can't let go. She stops at a nearby cafe and meets someone, a man, older, confident, dressed in a sharp gray suit. Ethan watches from across the street, a knot forming in his chest. They talk for a while. The man places his hand on hers. She doesn't pull away. The next morning she's quiet. Her usual spark is gone. He waits until lunch to ask who was he. Her eyes widen, caught off guard. "You followed me," he hesitates. "Not like that. I was worried." She exhales, rubbing her temples. "He's my ex," she says. "We ended badly, and now he wants to talk again." That's all. Ethan doesn't believe her, or maybe he just doesn't want to. "Do you still love him?" he asks quietly. She looks away. It's not that simple. He nods, but something inside breaks. The next few days feel hollow. She becomes more withdrawn, avoiding him completely. It's like she's fading from his life without saying goodbye. Then, one Friday evening, she sends a message, "We need to talk." He meets her at the same rooftop bar where it all began. The city hums below, just like that first night. For a moment it feels like déjà vu. She arrives late, her face pale, eyes tired. "Ethan," she says softly, "we can't keep doing this." He swallows hard. "We've already said that. This time, I mean it." He waits, but she doesn't continue. The silence stretches painfully long. "Did he ask you to come back?" Ethan asks finally. She hesitates. "Yes, and you said yes." Her eyes fill with tears. "I don't know what I said. I just know I can't keep living like this. Every time I'm near you, I feel like I'm losing control of everything else." Ethan stares at her, the weight of her words pressing against his chest. "Maybe that's what love is," he says quietly. She shakes her head. "No, Ethan, love shouldn't feel like drowning." And just like that she walks away, leaving him standing there, surrounded by the same city lights that once brought them together. But this time the night feels colder. He doesn't chase her, not because he doesn't want to, but because something tells him this isn't over. Not really, because longing has a way of finding its way back, no matter how far it has to travel. Weeks pass, but Ethan doesn't move on. Work becomes mechanical. The office, a cage. Every message, every notification. His heart leaps and then crashes when it isn't her. He tells himself to stop, to let go. But the memory of that night, the warmth of her hand in his, the intensity of her gaze, it all claws back like an ache he can't numb. He starts seeing her everywhere, in the reflection of a passing car, a shadow on the sidewalk, a laugh carried on the wind. It's maddening, irresistible, and hopeless all at once. Then, one evening, he gets a call from a number he doesn't recognize. Hesitant, he answers. A soft voice says, "Ethan, it's me, Ava." She sounds fragile, broken in ways he hasn't heard before. She doesn't explain much. She just says, "I need you." It's enough. Enough for him to drop everything and go. He drives through the city, rain pelting his windshield, heart thundering in his chest. When he reaches her apartment, she opens the door, eyes red, mascara streaked, trembling as if the weight of the world has finally crushed her. "I can't do this alone," she whispers. He steps inside without hesitation, closing the door behind him. "You don't have to," he says. The days that follow are tense, charged with emotion, fear, and longing. They talk, they argue, they cry. She tells him everything, the pressure from her ex, the memories she tried to bury, the choices she regrets. He listens, holding her when the words threaten to break her. For the first time, they're not hiding from each other or the consequences of their actions. They're simply present. But even in the midst of closeness, danger lingers. Ava's ex doesn't let go as Ailey. He starts showing up unexpectedly at the office, near her apartment, even following them. Each encounter sends a jolt of anxiety through her, and a protective fire through Ethan. He tries reasoning, trying to convince her to stay away from him, but nothing works. The man is relentless, obsessed, and dangerous. One night Ethan drives Ava home from a late meeting. The streets are empty, rain slicked, and the city lights reflect in puddles like fractured mirrors. A car pulls up behind them, keeping pace. He notices too late. The ex steps out of the car when they stop at a red light. Ethan steps on the gas, heart racing, maneuvering through streets he barely recognizes, the ex still following. Every instinct screams danger. Finally, a sharp turn, a narrow alley, and the ex disappears into the shadows. They're safer now, but the tension doesn't leave. Ava buries her face in his chest, trembling, and Ethan realizes something terrifying. This is no longer just about desire or longing. It's survival, and he can't protect her from everything. In the following days, they make a plan. Ava contacts lawyers, changes routines, and even considers leaving the city temporarily. Every precaution only tightens the knot in their hearts, the fear, the uncertainty, and the undeniable pull between them. Each stolen moment now feels urgent, dangerous, sacred. Then, something unexpected happens. Despite everything, they find moments of tenderness, a coffee shared in silence at dawn, hands brushing while carrying groceries, laughter unguarded and real, filling an apartment that only knows tension. In those fleeting hours they glimpse a future, fragile and shimmering, that might be theirs if the world would just let them breathe. But the ex doesn't relent. One evening, while Ethan is at work, he receives a call from Ava, her voice shaking. "He's here," she says. "At my apartment." Panic floods him, but he forces himself to stay calm. He races across the city, adrenaline coursing through every vein. When he arrives, she's standing in the doorway, backed against the wall, eyes wide with fear. Behind her, the ex glares, a twisted smile on his face. Ethan steps forward, protective, fearless. Words are useless. The tension is palpable. A struggle ensues. Ethan's strength against obsession, the ex's fury against desperation. In the end, it's Ethan who stands, breathing heavily, shielding Ava, her hands clutching his shirt as if holding on to life itself. The aftermath leaves them shaken but alive. They sit on the curb outside, rain soaking them both, but neither moves. Silence stretches, not uncomfortable this time, but full of everything they feel. Ava rests her head on his shoulder. "I don't want to run anymore," she whispers. Ethan holds her tighter. "Then we won't. Not from this. Not from anything. We face it together." For the first time, the longing, the fear, the desire, It all feels like it might lead somewhere. A path, fragile and uncertain, but theirs to take. And yet, the night still looms, because nights like these, nights of mistakes, nights of longing, nights where hearts collide in dangerous ways, don't simply fade. They echo, lingering, shaping every choice, every breath, every heartbeat that follows. Ethan knows this, Ava knows this, and though they cling to each other in the small, fleeting moments of reprieve, both understand the truth. Some mistakes never truly end. They only grow, entwined with desire, fear, and the inexorable pull of what could have been and what still might be. The city sleeps around them, unaware. But for Ethan and Ava, the night is far from over. It is the beginning of something that refuses to be contained, a lifetime of longing shaped by a single unforgettable mistake. Weeks turn into months. The storm of that night settles into something quieter but no less consuming. Ethan and Ava find a rhythm, a fragile coexistence of work, life, and stolen moments together. The danger has subsided, the ex fading into a distant, bitter memory, but the tension between them hasn't. If anything, it's grown, layered now with longing, regret, and a knowledge of how easily everything could be torn apart. They walk the city streets at night, hands brushing, hearts thrumming. Conversations flow like rivers, sometimes calm, sometimes wild, and in those moments, they can almost forget the mistakes, almost forget the consequences. Every smile is a small rebellion against the world that tells them they shouldn't be together. Every laugh a tiny defiance against reality. But life has a way of intruding. Ethan's work grows demanding, long hours, clients who need everything yesterday. Ava's projects pull her in opposite directions. They talk about moving forward, building something more permanent, but the memory of their first reckless night haunts them like a shadow they cannot shake. One evening, Ethan finds Ava sitting on the balcony, staring at the city below. She looks fragile, almost lost in thought. "What are you thinking about?" he asks, stepping beside her. She doesn't turn to him. "About us," she says quietly. "About how one single night changed everything, how it keeps changing me," he swallows. "I know, me too." She finally looks at him, and he sees it there, that mixture of longing, fear, and vulnerability he has learned to recognize as uniquely hers. "Sometimes," she says, voice trembling, "I wonder if it's worth it, if all of this, all the stolen moments, the risk, if it's worth it." Ethan takes her hand, feeling the pulse under her skin. "Every second," he says. "Even the pain, even the fear. It's all worth it because it brought me to you." For a moment, silence. And then she leans into him, allowing herself to trust, to feel, to simply exist with him. Days turn into nights, nights into weeks. And yet, despite the closeness, something lingers, a quiet ache, a whisper of longing that refuses to be silenced. They try to build a life, to find normalcy, but the past has a way of creeping back in unexpected ways. A colleague mentions her name casually. A song on the radio reminds him of her laugh. A sudden memory sparks desire so intense it's almost painful. It's in one of those moments that Ava confesses something she's been holding back. "I think about that night all the time," she says one evening, lying across his chest, fingers tracing patterns on his shoulder, not in a guilty way, not in a regretful way, but in a way that, "It haunts me. I feel like I lost part of myself and found it all at once." Ethan tightens his embrace. "I feel the same. It's like we were never just us before that night. That night made everything real. Terrible, beautiful, dangerous, real. There's no easy resolution, no simple way to untangle the threads of that single night. And yet, they continue together, even when the longing threatens to consume them, even when life keeps pushing back." Then, one day, a new complication arises. Ava is offered a chance to work on an international project, the kind of opportunity she has always dreamed of. It would mean leaving the city, leaving Ethan, perhaps indefinitely. She struggles with the decision, torn between ambition and the life they've begun to build. Ethan sees the conflict in her eyes. "You have to do it," he says quietly, though his chest tightens. "I can't be the reason you give up your dreams." She shakes her head. "I don't know if I can leave. Not yet, not when everything feels unfinished between us. Then we finish it," he says, taking her hands. "We take the risk. We figure out what's next together. But the risk isn't just emotional, it's physical, professional, and moral. Each choice, each step they take, reverberates through their lives, creating consequences they can't always foresee. The longing, the mistakes, the desire, it all intertwines into something far larger than either of them imagined. They spend nights awake, planning, dreaming, fighting against the inevitable pull of circumstance. They revisit the rooftop bar where it all began, walking the edge of the balcony, looking down at the city that witnessed the first spark. Words are sparse, they don't need them. Their hands meet, fingers lacing together, and for a moment, it feels like time itself has paused. But the past isn't done with them yet. One evening, as they leave a quiet cafe, a familiar figure appears, a reminder of old mistakes, old choices, and the lingering consequences that refuse to die. Their heartbeats quicken, tension spikes, and the fragile equilibrium they've built teeters on the edge. Ethan grips Ava's hand tighter. "Whatever comes, we face it together," he says, voice steady despite the storm rising around them. She nods, eyes filled with a mixture of fear and longing. Together, she whispers, "It's a promise. Fragile, uncertain, dangerous, but theirs." And in the quiet moments, when the world sleeps and the city lights flicker like distant stars, they hold on to each other, knowing that some nights, some mistakes shape a lifetime in ways nothing else ever could. Time doesn't forgive, but it teaches. Ethan and Ava move forward, carrying the weight of their past while carving a fragile future. They travel together for work, share stolen weekends, and build routines that tether them to reality while allowing the heart to soar. And yet, the longing never disappears. It hums beneath the surface, quiet but persistent, like a shadow that refuses to vanish. One rainy evening, they sit on the balcony of their shared apartment, watching the city lights blur through the mist. Silence stretches comfortably between them. No words are necessary. The memory of that first night, the intensity of the nights that followed, the mistakes and the desire, everything is there, unspoken but undeniable. "I still think about it," Ava says finally, her voice barely above the wind. Ethan doesn't ask what she means. He knows. He closes his eyes, letting the memories wash over him. The rooftop bar, the first touch, the moments stolen in the dark, the nights where danger and desire intertwined. "Me too," he says quietly. She rests her head against his shoulder, letting herself relax in a way she hasn't in months. "Do you ever regret it?" He shakes his head, though his fingers tighten around hers. "No. Even when it's painful, even when it's messy, I wouldn't change a thing. That night, that mistake, it made everything real. It made us real." Ava breathes in deeply, the words settling between them. "Real," she echoes. And for a moment, the city disappears, leaving only them to people who have survived mistakes, longing, and fear to find something that feels true. Life continues to test them. Opportunities arise that could pull them apart. Old friends, new faces, professional pressures, and the remnants of past decisions all threaten to intrude. But each challenge strengthens the bond between them. They learn to communicate, to fight together, to protect what they've built without suffocating each other. The longing remains, yes, but it transforms from desperate ache into a steady fire that fuels their love and resilience. One night, years later, they return to the rooftop bar where it all began. The city sprawls beneath them, lights sparkling like memories frozen in time. The bar is quieter now, the music softer, but for them, it feels infinite. Ethan turns to Ava, taking her hands in his. "Do you remember this night?" he asks. She smiles, a mixture of nostalgia and tenderness. "How could I forget? It started everything." He laughs softly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Everything," he agrees. "Every mistake, every longing, every risk, it led us here." They sit together, watching the city, the same sky they once looked at as strangers, as fleeting sparks in the night, now witness to their shared life. And in that moment, the mistakes of that first night feel less like errors, and more like the beginning of a journey neither of them could have predicted. A journey defined by longing, danger, love, and resilience. The city sleeps below, unaware of the story that unfolded in its streets and rooftops. But Ethan and Ava don't need the city to notice. They have each other. And some nights, some mistakes leave a mark so deep that a lifetime is only enough to live with it, not erase it. As they rise to leave, hands intertwined, the first hint of dawn brushes the horizon. The air is crisp, electric with possibility. They step forward, together, carrying the past but not trapped by it, ready for whatever comes next. Mistakes may shape a lifetime, but so does the courage to hold on, to forgive, and to love through every echo of desire and longing. That night, once a mistake, has become a lifetime that neither regrets, a lifetime that neither could have imagined, a lifetime that is theirs entirely and irrevocably, as if the stars themselves conspired to make it so. And somewhere in the city, under the soft glow of early morning, the night's mistakes dissolve into the rhythm of a new beginning, leaving behind only the lasting, unshakable truth. Some nights change everything, and some loves endure forever.